Hello and welcome back. I'm Rebecca, and today I'm going to talk about the importance of UI UX in app development with one of our industry experts, Suryansh Thakur. Sir, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. Thank you for having me here. So I'm Suryansh Thakur, and basically I'm a design lead at IdeaUsher, and I have uh, years of experience in designing products and making a good user experience for users.
That's great to hear. I'm confident your expertise will address the key questions that tech enthusiasts have about investing in the process of app development. So, with that, I'd like to start by asking, could you explain the difference between user interface and user experience?
So this is basically the most asked question to UI UX designers or product designers, as I say. So basically, if we differentiate between user experience and user interface, so user interface refers to the visual elements that you see on a screen. So if you see a phone or a computer or a laptop screen, everything you see on the screen refers to user interface. So this includes button, icons, typography, colors, everything, visual hierarchy, and all. So all the visual elements are referred as user interface, whereas user experience encompasses the overall experience that a user faces while interacting with the application or a software. So user experience consists of user flows, user stories. Basically, it is empathizing with the user needs, understanding the user needs, and doing some research on what user wants and what user needs. So it is basically a mixture of psychology and understanding the user, what user is thinking while interacting with the product.
Right. So, what would you say is the primary role of UI UX in the process of developing an app?
So basically, UI UX, the primary role of UI UX is developing and designing the application or a software from scratch. So when you start, you just have an idea. You want to convert that idea in your mind to like giving users a product to interact with. So basically, the primary role of UI UX is like research and discovery. So understanding the user needs, behaviors, what type of users are there you are catering to, or you are like giving your product in the hands of which users, what are their demographics, or what are their age and roles. So you gather the pain points, you see all the everything what a user can expect from your product and can interact with. Then you do the wireframing and prototyping. You create initial layouts and initial iterations from which you create mockups, and then you prototype them.
Okay.
So while designing, developing visually appealing interfaces which are easy to use to the users, and after this, you test those prototypes by doing A/B testing or like user testing, giving the prototypes in the hands of the some users to interact with the product, and you get some feedbacks out of it. And with the feedbacks, you redefine the designs and refine them. And after that, the implementation and iteration parts come in, where you collaborate with the developers, and you bring the design into life by developing it and coding. So this is basically a journey of UI UX designer and a role of UI UX in app development.
So basically, it seems like development part is the entire thing where we write codes and things happen. But if you look at the other aspect, designing is also like from scratch to the end. It's entire FP process.
Yeah, basically in design, you do not know where you will land. In design, you just have an idea, and with that idea, you keep on iterating, and somehow you reach to the place where you want to be. So it's
Right.
not a defined path. You define the path while working on the idea.
Trial and error until you reach
Yeah.
what you want. Yeah, it looks good. You keep on trying. Okay. So with this, I would like to know that how can we ensure that the app's interface is not only functional but also engaging for users?
Yeah, so basically in UI UX, as there are two words, UI and UX. You have to balance both the aspects. Both are different aspects, and you have to balance those. So, to ensure that app interface is not only functional, which is UX, but also engaging, which comes in the UI part. So, you have to keep couple of things in your mind, like the intuitive navigation. You keep the navigation very simple and easy to use, so that user do not get confused while using your application. Like if I open an application and I don't know what to do next, I'm stuck at that place. So I will not be using that application. I will straight be deleting that application because I do not know how to use the application, how to go further. Then you use the consistent design. So you will hear this word many times from me, the consistent design, consistent, because design is the main element of design is consistency. If you break the consistency, it will look very odd. So consistent design, use a consistent design language across the app to create a seamless experience to the user, so that user do not feel okay, on the last screen I was on a different app, and on the other screen I'm on a whole different application. Everything has changed. Other point will be, I think, visual appeal. Employ a visually appealing design system. Make a design system. While we design a application or anything, a software, we always make a design system beforehand, before designing anything, because design system help us in making the design consistent. We design buttons, we design all the input fields, all the colors, typography, fonts. So this is all decided before. So some of it is defined before the starting of the design, so that it is used everywhere. The same thing is used everywhere. So to keep the consistency proper. Other point will be interactive elements. Incorporate interactive elements like animations and micro animations, micro interactions, so that it makes the application a little more interesting and not just a flat screens that are just coming one by one. It makes the experience a little more interesting. And then you use the feedback. You continuously redesign and you iterate according to the feedbacks you are getting from the users.
Okay, all right. So, which design element should be given importance to create a great user experience?
So there are many elements that needs to be given importance, because it is like you do not have a set of things when it comes to designing products, because you are designing for different users, different age group, different culture, different countries. So things are endless. But some of the design elements that should be given importance, or the basic ones while designing user experiences, like the usability. So ensure the app is easy to use. So this is a like constant one. Usability should be there for every user, whether it be for a different culture, like you are from one culture, you are designing for the other culture, different countries. One thing that remains constant is the usability part, because no one wants to use a complex application. They do not know where to go. Second one is accessibility. So it should be accessible to many people. Like many of the applications are accessible to people with disabilities also. So like for example, we are using an application that is not designed for a person who has color blindness, and that person uses that application. The experience will be whole different. He might not be able to use the application. The other one, I think, is the consistency. Again, the consistency, the design should be consistent. Performance. Performance should also be, I think, given importance, because performance comes after you design a product, because performance is kind of when you are in the phase of development, while coding the application, because you design the application, and then if it does not open very efficiently in the devices you are going to release it, then it is a problem, because then if it is not optimized, it will take more time, then it will create a problem. And then feedbacks also be given an importance, because feedbacks are also a very key element, because with the feedback you know what user want actually, because you design a product and then you give it in the hands of the users. Then after the testing and the first use, you get to know, okay, these are the feedbacks that users have given me, the real users that are going to use the application. So these things must be improved in the design.
Please share some strategies that we can apply to boost user retention through a great design.
So there are many strategies for user retention, and user retention is actually very important, because if you see the data, many applications are just downloaded, or you see your daily usage as well. Many applications you design, you download from the store. And many of the times what happens is you open the application once and you do not open it like for 6-7 months. You just open it once and you then delete it. If it
Right.
is not designed very well, you will notice it the moment you open the application, and in the onboarding itself of the application you will notice something is off in this application, and that breaks the connection with the application, and that application is not open. It might be in your phone from past 6-7 months, but it hasn't been opened till. So first thing to make the user retention good is like the onboarding phase only. When you download the application or you use a software, create a seamless onboarding process. So like you can help the new users to understand the app quickly, because nobody wants to waste their time on an application on learning new things for just for an application.
That's true.
Second one would be I think personalization, because if I'm not able to personalize the application, I might not be use it. So personalization is second. The content should be engaging. I think the content should be fresh. I do not want to see like used content, or like again and again I'm seeing the same content in similar applications. Content should be new. As I mentioned in the last question, micro interactions play a very good role while creating user attention, because there is a UX law called Doherty's threshold. So it says that if the interaction of user and the computer is greater than 400 milliseconds, user feels a lag between with the computer. The connection they feel is something between laggy. You see, if the video gets buffered, if the time span is greater than 400 milliseconds, you feel something is lagging, something is moving slow. So with the optimization of the application and all these things, if you keep the loading very plain and very basic, user will get bored. So you have to give them some feedback, some things to distract their mind, so that they don't feel like I'm stuck here from like past 5 minutes. Time should be like, if it takes time, loadings take time, you should make the design intuitive and gamified, so that user do not notice that okay, I'm stuck here from past 5 minutes.
Right.
And I think with some regular updates, you need to keep the application fresh, and adding new content always help in making the user feel like okay, this application is good, and increasing the user attention.
So when you talk about this micro interaction, when you, or like in case of Uber app, when you book a cab and you see that the map is moving, the driver is moving, this is what all collectively called micro interactions.
Yeah. So all these things, when you order food from Zomato, you see the delivery person coming on a moped in the map, and all these in like this is called the feedback. Also, the feedback you give to the user while using the application. When you use Google Pay or Phone Pay, the mobile application to pay, you will notice when you put the UPI pin and you click on OK. So there is a micro interaction which then becomes when the payment is successful, it shows you a tick. Okay, the payment is done. And the micro interactions with the button, the button with the swipe thing and all, these are all the micro interactions. And you can make the loadings a little bit intuitive, so that loading should not feel like you are waiting. Loading should feel like you are interacting with the application itself.
So what are some best practices for creating a visually appealing UI that is also easy to use?
Some best practices for visually appealing UI is, first will be very basic and very it is like the most used thing, that is the simplicity. You will always be hearing simple design, minimalist design. So minimalist design always go better, because if you see all the applications that we use are on the basis of simplicity and minimalism. If you open Behance and Dribble, you will see design that are very visually appealing, that you will see, oh, this looks very beautiful, but those projects never come to life. Many of the 90% of the Behance designs are only the Behance designs. They never come to life because they are so, I would say, so flashy and all. They are not compatible with the daily usage. You will see most of the applications are very simple that we use. If you see WhatsApp is very basic. There is nothing, no overuse of micro interactions, nothing, just plain basic simple messaging app and used every day. Instagram, you see Instagram, no over usage of micro interactions, very basic social media applications used by billions of people. So first is simplicity. Another one I would say is hierarchy, because hierarchy defines what is important and what is not important.
Okay.
So it guides the user and takes their attention to the important elements first and then the least important ones. So hierarchy is very important. Another one would be readability, because you have to choose fonts and you have to choose the font sizes accordingly, which are readable enough. You should not use fonts that are too small, that are not readable. And it also depends on the type of users you're designing for. So if you are designing an application that is going to be used by older people, you have to use bigger fonts, because you have seen older people are always having big fonts in the phone.
Right.
If you're designing an application for kids or for teens, you can use some amount of small fonts as well, because their eyesight is sharp, they can see the small fonts. But older people are not able to see small fonts. If you have overused small fonts in the application that is used by the older people, it's going to be very difficult for them. And another one would be consistency, because consistency should be there. As I always say, consistency design should be consistent from start to end. You should feel like you're in one application, you're not surfing between 100 applications.
Right. So, what guidelines should we keep in mind to ensure a mobile design is responsive during the entire development and designing process?
So basically, designing is a whole package of psychology, then visual design, and some knowledge of a little bit of coding and how things are getting coded. So, which we call HTML and CSS for basic application development. So you should have some basic idea of what is good for coding and what is not good for coding while designing the things. So responsiveness comes when your application is viewed on multiple platforms, like on laptop, desktop, mobile application, tablets. So then you have to look for responsiveness also. So for responsiveness, you should use fluid grids. Using fluid grids that can accommodate the responsiveness of a mobile, a tablet, and a desktop screen. The images should be flexible. For example, I'm using images in my application that should be flexible for scaling up and scaling down, so that they not lose their quality.
Right.
One very, very important thing that you will hear while talking about responsive design is the breakpoints. So breakpoints are points in width. Height is not very important, because a page can be long enough, it can be scrollable in desktop or mobile. But width is like what is the factor that differentiate between a desktop screen and a mobile screen. So for width, there are breakpoints. You can define breakpoints. Okay, so like for example, my mobile screen, I define breakpoint at 360 pixels. So when I'm using for mobile, I will make 360 pixels as my breakpoint, and after 360 pixel, my design will convert into a tablet design. Responsiveness in the responsiveness, it will convert into a tablet design. And same as for tablet, I will define a breakpoint, for example, 740 pixels. So after 740 pixels of width, like it will adapt to a different screen size. So I will define some breakpoints, okay, and I will tell. From breakpoints, I am defining different width sizes. So after till that width size, it will expand, and after that width size, it will change into a tablet design. And for the tablet, I have defined a breakpoint. After that, it will change into a desktop design. So these are the breakpoints. Another one is touch target. One point is touch target. Touch target is very thing that touch target is a thing which is not very discussed about. So basically, I will explain. Touch target is a area around a button. For example, if we use mobile applications, we only see a button that we are going to click. But when the mobile screen is not very big, so you have noticed when we click a button on a mobile screen, even if we are not very accurate on the button, it will get clicked, because there is a touch target around it that is designed by keeping in mind, okay, that I am using a mobile application. The user might not be able to click that small button very accurately, so a touch target is made around that button. So if your touch is in that touch target also, the button will be clicked. Okay. So these touch targets should be kept in mind while designing mobile applications. And the performance, so if you are designing for different platforms, the performance should be kept in mind to like optimizing the screens and the applications so that it loads faster. So these are the things which should be kept in mind while designing for responsiveness.
So how can someone make sure they stay trendy with the design while also make sure their interface won't look outdated in the future?
So to stay trendy, I will suggest to follow the trends, follow the trends. You can follow the trends on the communities that are design communities. Behance, Dribble are great places to see the design trends. On Behance and Dribble, you will see the latest UI trends.
Okay, so Suryansh, please tell us what are the trends in UI UX design?
So currently in UI/UX design, there are many trends, and trends keeps on coming and going. So one trend that is like from very long, that is always in trend, is like the new morphism. So new
Hmm.
morphism combines of skew morphism. Skew morphism is also a trend which is not in trend right now, which was in trend back in the days. But now new morphism, which combines of skew morphism of making soft buttons, creating soft and extruded shapes, and a subtle and tactical interactions and interfaces. It gives a kind of realistic feel to the design and to the buttons and cards, so that they feel 3D and kind of real in nature. Another one would be glass morphism, which you can see in many applications. Obviously, the whole application will not be on the theme of glass morphism, but some parts can be seen on the basis of glass morphism. So, glass morphism focuses on uses of frosted glass. So, you will see cards that are kind of frosted glass
Mm-hmm.
effect, that and transparency and some vivid colors. So basically, some applications use this trend while making cards and some layouts. Not whole application will be on glass morphism. So this trend creates layers and depthful interfaces. So glass morphism is always in trend. One thing that is in trend from some years is the dark mode. So dark mode has also emerged as a very good trend in UI UX. Creating a dark mode always helps with the people having OLED screens, because dark mode also helps in saving the battery of the devices which have OLED screens, because it completely turns off the LEDs of the screen. So traditional light theme is not very useful in many places. So dark mode is also very much in trend. And one would be minimalism and simplicity, which is always in trend, which is a no-brainer in it. So minimalism and simplicity remains a strong trend, focusing on clean and uncluttered interfaces with a ample of white spaces, so that the design looks breathable and things look neat and clean. So I think these are some of the main trends that are currently in the market.
Okay. And what tools or platform do you recommend for prototyping and testing UI UX design before launch?
So there are many tools that can be used for designing, prototyping, testing. So some tools would be for designing. I will say it is for designing, and from for designing, before the designing, for making the plan and making the user research. I will divide into 4 parts. So before designing, when you are researching and when you are making notes, when you are gathering all the research, Miro is a very good platform to use as a whiteboard, and Miro and FigJam. So FigJam is a part of Figma only. FigJam and Miro are two top whiteboard tools that can be used for making whiteboards. Can be used for card sorting. Card sorting is a user research technique, so can be used for card sorting, because you can collaborate with different designers. For designing, Figma, Sketch, and Adobe XD can be used for designing interfaces. And for prototyping, Figma is very good tool for prototyping as well, because very good prototyping can be done on Figma only. For prototyping other than Figma, there is a tool called ProtoPie. So ProtoPie is also a tool that can be used for prototyping. And there are other tools for prototyping as like InVision. And for user testing, I have not used many tools for user testing. I've just used one tool which is very good, and I can say it can be used for testing, is Maze. So Maze, as the name suggests, it is an application where you put your prototypes, and you can share the link to the testers you want to get your application tested from. So you send the link, and they open the link of the maze, and it will show your prototype, and it will be like a maze for them to use your prototype. And they will not be knowing anything about it, about your prototype. which button is clickable, which thing is not clickable. They will have to solve it like a maze, and it records the time and the heat map of the users, where they got stuck, where they spend the most time. So it will show you everything. So it is kind of like a maze for the users who are testing the product, and it will give you great results. So you can adjust your designs accordingly.
That's interesting. And apart from this, how can someone ensure that their UI UX design remains relevant and competitive in the long term?
To ensure that your designs are competitive and in the long run,
Mhm.
so first would be continuous learning. Like, you should be stayed informed for about the latest trends and tools and best practices. Obviously, you're not going to change your application very like,
Frequently.
very frequently,
Mhm.
like what Instagram does with their buttons. They keep on changing their buttons here and there. So you can also focus on user feedback. You can, like, regularly you can gather user feedbacks, and you can see what users are saying, because after sometimes from every application user gets bored, and you have to give them an update of the application to make things fresh
Hmm.
and incorporate some trends. Innovation should be there. Experiment with different ideas and technologies and innovate designs to keep the design fresh and intuitive to the user. Market research should be done to see the what competitors are doing. So you should not be like ignoring the competitors. You always have to keep an eye on the competitors and industry developments to stay ahead. And I think the last one would be iterative improvements. Continuously iterate on your designs and improve your designs based on the behavior of the user you are serving to. So with the feedback, you should always redefine your designs, and that's how you keep up to the market and competition in the long run.
So, everything we have discussed today has been incredibly insightful. And this is for my audience. We hope you found this episode valuable and that it helps you in your journey to create engaging and effective apps. If you have any further questions or topics you'd like us to talk about, feel free to reach out in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.